Hi, welcome to Naresh IT. This is Kishore, and today we are going to discuss about functions with the default arguments. Okay, today our topic is functions with the default arguments. Actually, it is a new concept introduced in C++. Now, what is called functions with default arguments? First of all, I am giving small example for easy understanding of functions with the default arguments. Okay. Now, watch this example. Now, I am giving a small C example first of all. Okay, common header files. Now, I am going to write a function, one function. For example, int sum. That means I want to perform the sum of 3 numbers or 2 numbers, what it may be. Now, it is a function declaration, and here I am saying like this: int x, next int y, and int z. Okay. Now, it is the function declaration part. Now, when function declaration is there, it should be end with semicolon because of prototyping. Okay. Now, it indicates what this kind of function we are going to use in future. Okay, fine. Later, I am going for main function also. Now, in main function, we have to call the function. Means in main function, I am going to call the sum function, and here I said I am going to pass 3 arguments to this function. Okay. Here the point is I have to send 3 arguments for this function. That is why CLR SCR first. Now, the screen content cleared. Later, here I am going to write like this. For example, I am going to write the C program in C++. Okay. And now, C out sum equal to sum of some values are required now 10, 20, 30, and later endl. Okay. Here what happened, watch it. Now, C out is the printing. Now, sum equal to is the text, it is printing as it is on the screen. Later, sum of 10, 20, 30. Okay, fine. Next, another function call C out sum equal to sum of 10, 20 endl. Next, another function call sum of only 10 endl. Next, another function call sum equal to sum of nothing. Now, brackets closed. Okay. And here we have, or I have called the same function 4 times. Okay. Here in this example, I have called the sum function 4 times. And what happened here? In first function call, I am going to send 3 arguments. In second function call, only 2 arguments. In third one, only 1, and last one nothing is there. Okay. Now, we need the definition for this function. Okay. For example, I am going to give the definition here: int sum of int x, comma int y, comma int z. Next, simply I am going to say return x plus y plus z. Okay. Now, it is the function definition. Okay. Generally, C or C++ program execution starts from main function, everybody knows. Now, here also program execution starts from this point. Later, CLR SCR screen content erased. Later, C out sum equal to, it is the first function calling. In first function calling, how many arguments I have used? 3. Now, this 10 passed to x, and 20 passed to y, and 30 passed to z. Okay. Now, x, y, z are receiving the values from 10, 20, 30. That means 10 passed to x, 20 passed to y, 30 passed to z. That is why x becomes 10, y becomes 20, z becomes 30. Now, return x plus y plus z. That means what? 10 plus 20 plus 30. now the total 60, it is going to return. Now that return value is going to print here. That's why your answer is 60 general in general. Okay. Now come to the second function call. Here how many arguments we are sending means only 2 arguments, 10, 20. Now the 10 is received by x and 20 is received by y, because of arguments are always passed from left to right. That means the formal parameters are replaced from left to right. Okay. Here arguments are sending from right to left, but they are received from left to right. That is why what happens, 10 goes to x, 20 goes to y. Now what about the z? Okay. Here z is not having any corresponding value. Actually in function declaration what I said, I will send 3 arguments for this function. Actually function declaration is also called function prototyping, and the rule is function prototyping should be matched with function definition. Here function prototype definition both are same, there is no problem at all, but the thing is function calling is not matched with the prototype or definition. Why? Because here prototype is having 3 arguments, here also 3 arguments, but here only 2 arguments. Now it is going to give error in C compiler. Okay. Now this program is going to return error here, and the same thing is happened here also, because of only 1 argument you are submitting, but requirement is 3, and here there is no argument. That is why this program gives 3 errors. Okay. Then to solve this problem, in C++ they have introduced the concept of functions with the default arguments. Okay. Now in function with default arguments what happening, actually it is function declaration or prototype. Now we can declare the functions with the default values. That means here we can assign the value, here also we can assign the value, here also we can assign the value. Now what happens, when corresponding argument is missing in function call, they are replaced with the declared values. It is the functions with the default arguments concept. That is why in functions with the default arguments we are going to declare the formal parameters with initial values. For example, okay, here I am going to declare x equal to 10, suppose y equal to 20, or x equal to 1, y equal to 2, and z equal to 3. Suppose I have mentioned the prototype like this. Okay, because of there is a rule, the default parameters should be initialized at the time of function declaration. It is the rule for functions with the default arguments. That is why what happened, at the time of declaration I have initialized x with 1, y with 2, z with 3. Now what happens? Okay. Now when the function is called, what happens? When this function is called, first 10, 20, 30 are passed to x, y, z. Already x, y, z are having what? 1, 2, 3, but now matching values are found now. That is why here 10 is replacing x, 20 is replacing y, 30 is replacing z. That is why x value becomes 10, y value becomes 20, z value becomes 30. That is why total result 60. That is why this function result is 60. Okay. Now the first function calling completed. Second, now second function calling, what happens, 10 goes to x, means 1 replaced with 10 and 2 replaced with 20. Now z is missing now, here the corresponding value missed for z. Okay. When it is missed, automatically your compiler replaced with 3. That means here x becomes 10, y becomes 20, but z becomes 3. That is answer, 10 plus 20 plus 3. That is why second program result is 33. Okay. Next come to the third one, sum of 10. Now 10 is passed to x, but there is no matching value for y and z. Now y and z are replaced with 2 and 3. That's why your program becomes x value 10, y value 2, z value 3. That's why 10 plus 2 plus 3 answer 15. Okay, that's why 10 passed to x and y 2 value passed to here and 3 value. That's why 10 plus 2 plus 3 answer 15. Okay. Now what happened? Last function call. Here there is no matching argument. Means we are not sending any argument. That's why all the parameter values are missing now. Now automatically x, y, z are replaced with 1, 2, 3. That's why this formal parameter values becomes 1, 2, 3. 1 plus 2 plus 3 answer is 6. Now your answer is 6. That means according to this example, okay, according to this explanation, C++ allows to define a function without passing or to call a function without passing all the arguments. Okay, here the concept is very clear. Okay, C++ allows to call a function without passing all the arguments, which is called functions with default arguments. And when it is useful, for example, I am giving small example. Suppose there is a class. In class, okay, just think C++ class it is, and 60 students are there, and generally every student is having ID number, it is common thing, and every student is having a name, it is also common, and every student have to enroll a course also. For example, one student number 1, second student number 2. That means the roll numbers are going to be changed for each and every student, and names are also going to be changed, but the course is same. Now suppose if this facility is not available, if this feature is not available, then every time we have to send the course C++. That means how many students we are having? 60 students we are having. That means we have to send 60 times the C++ in place of course. That's why your program is getting little bit lengthy. Okay. Now instead of that one, we can use the default arguments. Suppose it is the ID number, it is the name, it is the course. Here just initialize the course with C++ for example. Now miss all the course details, automatically they are replaced with C++. That means we have to send only one C++ instead of 60 C++. That means your time is saved, program also looking to be smart, means program minimized. When program is minimized, performance automatically increased. It is the concept of functions with default arguments, and it works only in C++. Okay, it works only in C++ compiler. C never supports functions with default arguments, and Java never supports functions with default arguments, but .NET supports function with default arguments concept. It is how the functions with the default arguments is working. Next, I am going to give one more example, and before going to give the second example, I am going to say one more thing. Here see this, it is looking to be functions with 3 arguments, it is looking to be function with 2 arguments, function with 1 argument, function with no argument, means same function but which is used in 4 different manners, which is called function polymorphism. Okay, that is why functions with the default arguments supports the concept of function polymorphism, means using the same function in different ways. It is the function polymorphism concept which is introduced with OOPS concept in C++. That is why we can define several functions with different arguments. It is called functions with default arguments, and here certain rules are there for functions with default arguments. Now what is the rule? First thing, the functions with default arguments. Okay, in functions with default arguments, the value should be sent from right to left. remember this, the value should be provided from right to left. For example, this one, okay, x is missing the value, y value is there, z value is there, and you are having only one problem here. This function is not working because of here 10 passed to x, here 10 passed to x, here 10 passed to x. Already y and z are having default argument, but here there is no value for x. That is why only in this situation it is giving error. But here watch it, suppose x value 1, now you are missing 3 here, now it never supports because of it is against the syntax rule, because of in functions with the default arguments the argument should be submitted from right to left. That means evolution is from right to left and taken receiving is from left to right. That is why in middle do not enter the default arguments. Okay, you have to enter the default arguments always from right to left only, left to right not allowed, in middle also they are not allowed. It is how to work with functions with the default arguments. Now I am going to give one more example, small example on functions with the default arguments. Okay, and one more thing here we have to determine. In previous example actually we think that it is a C program, that is why we have started with stdio.h. okay, but actually we have conducted that example in C++ environment, okay, and there I have used a cout object. That is why in place of stdio.h you should have to provide iostream.h. okay, here it is the important thing. Okay, we have discussed about C environment, later I have given in C++ environment. When you are working with C++ with cout, you should have to provide the header file iostream.h. Next, now I am going to define one more thing. Say this, suppose float simple interest, I want to find out the simple interest. Generally simple interest formula is what, PTR by 100. Now principal time rate of interest. Okay, here I am going to write like this, float P stands for principal amount, and here I am not providing any value, and float suppose time. Okay, here I have entered float time. Next, float R means rate of interest. Suppose I have entered rate of interest 3. Now brackets close. Here watch it, first two arguments are left blank, but third argument is replaced with 3. Okay, now what happens, return T into R by 100. Actually formula is implemented. Okay, now the function declaration and definition finished. Later I am going to use the function like this, main, we have to call the function. Next, cout, directly I am going to write cout, simple interest equal to, suppose simple interest of 1000, principal amount, it is passed to P. Next, time, suppose 10 months. Next, rate of interest, here 2 rupees. Now 1000 is replacing the P and 10 is replacing the T and 2 is replacing the 3. Okay, fine, 3 arguments are submitted and it is going to give the some result. Next, watch it, cout simple interest equal to simple interest of same 1000 rupees, but this time only 10. Okay, here what happened, 1000 is received by P now. Okay, 1000, P value becomes 1000. Next, 10 passed to T, T value becomes 10, and 2 passed to R means 3 replaced with 2. Okay, R value replaced with 2. Now what happens, 10 months. Okay, interest rate 2. Here 10 hundreds are there in this example, means for 100 2 rupees. Now 10 hundreds, that is why 10 to 20, like that 10 months. That is why total answer 10 into 20, 200 is the simple interest. That is why this program gives answer 200 rupees simple interest for 1000 rupees. Okay, and next watch it here. Second example, 1000 rupees received by P. Okay, fine, P value becomes 1000. Next, T value becomes 10. Now what about the R value? Here we are not providing any value for R. Then what happens? Here default argument is there, no? Now it receives the 3. That's why R value becomes 3. Now 3 rupees interest, like the 10 months for 1000. 100 rupees 3 rupees, like 10 hundreds are there, no? 10 3 is 30. 30 into 10, 300. That's why here simple interest is 10 into 30. That's why it becomes 300. Now it is the simple interest. Okay, now watch it here. First one having 3 arguments, but second one is having 2 arguments. Now the third argument automatically received with 3. It is the usage of functions with default arguments in our regular examples. Okay, it is how to work with functions with the default arguments. Thank you for watching. Okay, for more videos subscribe Naresh IT.